Hi, welcome to a Chat with Heart podcast. I'm your host, Christina Martin. I'm a singer-songwriter. I live on a dirt road in rural Nova Scotia with my best friend Dale and our calico cat, Olivia. This podcast is totally just a chill chat with heart. As soon as you tune in here, I consider you one of my little heartbeat listeners. I love sharing these personal stories, and recording these episodes are great practice for me to try and calm the fuck down and just be myself. If we just talk about it, we could shine a light, we could break a dark day. If we just talk about it, we can cut away, we can make a brighter day. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Chat with Heart. I'm Christina, and I am so happy you're here listening. Thank you so much. I don't know what you're doing, if you're driving or cleaning the house, one of my favorite things to do. Maybe you're on a jog or a walk. What do you do when you listen to A Chat with Heart? Let me know. Send me an email, christinamartinmusic@gmail.com, or you can call the Heartbeat hotline. That line is still being paid for. It rarely is used. But when it is, we do play messages on the podcast. But you can email me voice messages for if you're not in Canada, because I think calling the number does cost. Or if you're on WhatsApp, I suppose you could add that number on WhatsApp. I'm not really sure. No, don't do WhatsApp. Probably won't even catch it. But I would definitely catch an email, or if you call that phone number on the Heartbeat hotline, which you hear at the end of this episode. I still haven't memorized it after 5 years. Few quick updates before we dive in. Big Shiny Tunes is coming up. I managed to squeeze in a bonus episode kicking off. This is technically season 5 of A Chat with Heart podcast. I was chatting with my friend Steph Purcell, who's one of the producers of the Big Shiny Tunes, and she's been a longtime friend of mine and a supporter of all things music in our community. And this is truly, Big Shiny Tunes is truly one of my favorite nights of the year. I gotta say, I was at first terrified to participate. I think I turned down the ask at first. I was coming out of the pandemic, and I was high anxiety. I don't think I'd started my SSRI yet for depression and anxiety. And I wanted nothing to do with it. Nothing. No, I didn't know if I could pull it off. I just didn't know if it was the right thing for me. But looking back, I'm glad I said yes when I did. And I'm so grateful because they don't ask artists to come back every year. This could be my last year. Who knows? It's not up to me. So I'm just going to give it my best again this year. There's so many incredible musicians. The bands are hot. The singers are hot. The audience is incredible. The staff is great. It's usually a packed house. It is a packed house. So yeah, it's an incredible ensemble of musicians from all over the province and actually from around the Maritimes sometimes. Listen, anyway, I say this every year and I stand by it. Best night of the year. So tickets are on sale for that. Also, February 14th, Valentine's Day. I don't know what your plans are. It's a Saturday. I will be with my best friend Dale and our other bestie, Hannah Melanson. We're going to be playing a show at Patchwork House Concert Series in Bedford, Nova Scotia. Tickets are about 50% sold now, so there's still tickets. You can get them on my website, christinamartin.net. Come be cozy. Come feel things. Come hear some of my songs live. We got a few new ones we're going to throw out there. Oh, wait, are we? Only if they have the word love in them, because that's kind of the theme. And other than that, lately I've been, we've been looking after my mom's cat, Lola, and her and our cat, Olivia, have been having some good, healthy play and then some rough play. It's, the longer Lola stays with us, the more she seems to like us and our cat. And we love having her. She's never going to listen to this, so I don't even know why I'm bringing it up. But anyway, other than that, honestly, it's a weird time of the year. I'm really excited and happy and feel great. But the other side of it is January is always the worst for admin stuff for, I've been doing one of the most boring tasks of being a self-managed artist is registering your works with the royalty organizations. It's not that it's hard. It's just so tedious and it's just annoying. And anyway, but the upside is that we own 100% of our material, and there's no middle people taking cuts from our earnings. So yeah, it's boring to do now, but it matters and it can pay off. I could pay for a new recording, let's say, or a gas on a tour. Yeah. But who's kidding? Who am I kidding? Who's kidding? Nobody is kidding, and I am not kidding when I say that royalty streams do slow down when you stop touring. That's for sure. Okay. But I guess, was that a perfect segue to today's guest? I don't know. I feel like I ended on a negative note. Let's get positive. I am so grateful to be self-managed and to be still making music and to be supported by so many people, including a lot of you Little Heartbeat listeners out there. Thank you for being my patrons on my Patreon page. As whether you're a free member or a paid member, it's all helpful because it means you want to stay in touch and keep up with what I'm doing. And I can't wait to share pictures of, like, if some of you have not heard this before, about when every year we plant trees based on how many paying members we have on Patreon. So some years we've had like 80, some years 70, but I usually just plant 100 trees. So we have hundreds of trees planted all over our property in Port Howe. And of course they start out, it's slow. It's slow growth. It's sort of like, I was thinking of comparing it to basically your career as a musician, or your anything you love, your small business or whatever. It's a lot of work, a lot of time. You got to feed and water it and blah, blah, blah. Make sure it doesn't die. And eventually things start to bloom and those motherfucking trees start to grow. And so I think last year was really exciting, as now you could look out and see like basically a forest. And I think this is going to be a major year for growth. And to me, it's a huge reminder of that, making music is great. We'll continue to make music, but to have a way to make a living doing what you do, even just a little bit of that living, you can't do it without music supporters and music listeners and lovers and venues and promoters. And it's not possible. So I'm so grateful for that love and support for what we do. Now that was a perfect segue to introduce my buddy, my guest today, Dave Gunning, because he's been a huge inspiration for me over the years as a friend, as a writer. I deeply respect, and a singer as well. He's got a beautiful voice, and someone I really hope to do a lot more co-writing with, and maybe some work in the studio too. Dave, recently I sent Dave a song to work on together, and he was instantly present, thoughtful. He was full of ideas. He was so quick and generous that I had to ask him to wait for me while I caught up. I also had this great opportunity to tour with Dave in Ireland, Dave Gunning and Dave Carroll and Terry Penny. I think this was back in 2010. And every time I'm around him, it's just so grounding and fun and inspiring. He really is the bomb. So if you don't already know Dave, he's one of Canada's most respected folk singer-songwriters. He has deep roots in Pictou County, and that's where he lives now. And he's known for his songs like about real people, real life, real work. He's funny, he's thoughtful, he's empathetic. Not pathetic, empathetic. He's the opposite of AI, which we get into. Hey, and his second single from his new album, Field Notes, is out now. It's called Blue Heart. Check it out. It's gorgeous. Go listen. And the full album, Field Notes, drops this February 2026. And in this chat, we get into the very cool story behind the making of the record, the place, the process, the people, the heart behind it all. So this conversation feels like sitting down with an old friend, which is exactly what it was, except we did it remotely. Lots of fun, beautiful memories. Dave's an incredible storyteller. He's really lived a very interesting life, and he shares that and some of the people in it. So stick around, enjoy the chat, and let's see what else. Oh, send me a message. Send me an email, ChristinaMartinMusic@gmail.com. Let me know what you do when you are listening to this this podcast. And if you have any questions or comments, drop me a line. You can also call the Heartbeat Hotline. Eventually we check the messages and sometimes we play them on the podcast. Okay, here's my chat with Dave Gunning. I'm glad you're here, and you are my first guest for, technically this is season 5. This is the 5th year of doing this podcast, A Chat with Heart. So welcome to A Chat with Heart podcast, Dave Gunning.
Thanks for having me on.
You look ready. You look ready for a good...
Well, I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's with the chair behind you? Is that a chair with a history?
Sometimes people come and sit there.
I like the pattern. You're
welcome anytime to come to my chair.
And just sit right behind you?
Sit there, yeah. It's sometimes the dogs come in and they kind of watch me recording or doing whatever.
Nice. Are you in your home studio?
Yeah, I'm facing the desk, so like all the gear is to either side of me kind of thing. So
sure, we'll pretend there's gear there.
Yeah.
You don't actually have any, do you?
No.
Nowadays there's no gear. It's all just like... Are you using AI now to produce? Is that?
Yeah, right. That's my style. Yeah,
cool.
I'm a big AI guy, yeah.
I figured. I mean, it's just bound to get the best of everyone eventually.
Yeah.
I'm going to run this episode through AI after. No, I'm not. But someone did suggest that I do that at one point, and I was like, I'm not going to do that.
It's not a good idea, probably.
No. Well, I mean, I guess you can use AI I do use it. I have an online job, a part-time online job, and we use it. I use it to help formulate difficult responses. But I always when it's a customer and they're really upset and you want to do good by them, but I always put in what I want to say, and then I'll be like, can you make this not sound like I'm an asshole? And I find it uses a tool like that, like as if you're working with an editor,
right?
For that particular job. I don't care, but I don't want it to interfere with the precious things like in my creative world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever used it for anything or had tried to have just
no,
mess around with it.
People have been sending me, here's a song that I've written with AI. What do you think of it? Or here's a song that I think would suit you written with AI. But when I look at the lyrics, I find that they're so generic. There's nothing really fresh and it's just spitting out stuff that's already been done before.
Yeah.
Especially, when you see photos and videos done with AI, you can tell it's really sterile. Maybe that will improve over time. But at this point, I think it fools a lot of people, obviously, and some people can look at AI art or AI lyrics and think, "Wow, that's really nice." Where I don't know, I find that so far what I've seen from AI lyrics or AI art, I don't find it. I just find that it's really generic looking, like I don't know, like one of those Hallmark Christmas movies. You know what I mean? Like it feels sterile and just regurgitating cliches, and whether they're visual cliches or lyrical cliches. So I haven't been really so far. And there's a local artist that just released a single. You can tell it was done with AI, and the video was done with AI, but people are commenting, "Congratulations!" And
yeah,
it's not. I don't know. To me, it's not. I don't really enjoy it, but I went to Australia in June to record a new record, and we recorded it outside of the recording studio, sitting on a porch with one microphone under a gum tree. Mark, who produced it before me said, he said, "Mate, this is the opposite of AI. We're going for something that's just
Yeah.
so raw, in a world where we just don't know what's real sometimes, anymore. People
Yeah.
don't know that this is real because it has this, scars and little warts to prove it." And
This is your new album, Field Notes, that's coming out February 20th this
yeah,
year.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I recorded it back in June, and it was done really quickly, just outside, no headphones, no click tracks or anything, just me sitting on a porch with old guitars that he had collected from flea markets and things over the years. Um,
Incredible.
Actually, all the guitars had nylon strings. I don't think there was one steel string guitar, but yeah, and I think that maybe because of all this AI stuff, it felt kind of liberating and somehow to do something that's totally not that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be like a resurgence of artists, craving, wanting to do that. I know Dale and I have had a lot of discussions about AI and how can we basically avoid not we don't use it in our creative work, but even just in other parts of our life. How do we minimize it or try not to use it and just use our own voices? Like there's certainly I like using AI for things like work-related things that I just hate to do that like maybe a manager would do, or, it can draft like a basic plan for you
Yeah,
if you don't want to spend 6 hours or whatever trying to come up with a marketing plan and you want some kind of an outline, and then you go in and put your human voice in it to it. I can see it. I personally appreciate using it like that because I don't particularly, I don't feel like that's my strength or want to even, it does save time and I'm doing a million different things, but there's certain things in your life you keep precious. And so what you've done with that album, I think more artists are, and audiences, I think I think there will always be, at least I want to believe this, audiences that want to know, is this AI or not? I want to support the real deal, the human connection and touch. So I'm really excited about this. And the single that's out now, Going Nowhere Tonight, that's on that album, right?
yeah, yeah.
And is that a song? I love the title, but it's, to me, I was like, is this about our lives living in the middle of nowhere in rural Nova Scotia because there's nothing to do, going nowhere tonight? But I listened to the song and it's beautiful. But tell us about the song and why you picked it as like a first single, or if you even had a choice in the matter.
Mark really loved that song. It was one of the last ones I wrote before I went to Australia. I wrote it I wrote it for Sarah. People have asked, have you written anything for your wife? And she, obviously she makes an appearance in quite a few of the songs, but this was one that I don't know, was more on the nose, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
amazing.
So I wrote it for her, and she likes it.
That's where there's. I was going to ask you if you've ever finished a song and thought, "Yep, I'm in trouble with this one," but clearly not that one. That one got you some points at home.
Yeah.
But have you ever written songs where you're like, "Ooh, this one could put somebody in jail," or I don't know, that you're like, "This one's going to be. I might have to explain something. I don't know."
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, yeah, obviously we write what we know. And sometimes what we know might be personal, or it might involve other people that we don't want to reveal, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, there's a few that might approach the danger zone, but I'm definitely safe with that song, and I think all the ones on my new record. Yeah.
Now here's going back to AI. What if you wrote a really personal song that you're like, I'm not singing this, like no one's actually going to hear this. Then you put those lyrics in AI and say, could you disguise this so that it'd be a song that I could actually perform? I'm all for, now that I think about it, artists like using, like being upfront about it, but maybe using AI in a wacky way like that. Say like, I wrote this song, put it in AI. I gave it these prompts and this is what it came up with. And the result being a ridiculous, like hilarious, I don't know, like my grandma murdered my father, married my cousin Bob, and then had me as a child.
Yeah. Okay. AI, change the names and places.
Yeah. Maybe that's all it could do. Hey, did you know that people do impressions of you?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few good ones around. Mingo, especially. He's right on the nose. JP,
Yeah.
pretty good one.
Does he?
Yeah, and it's it's sort of a culture that, in some ways, I suppose I helped create because I've done impersonations and impressions of other people, friends and heroes and things like that. So yeah, it's actually pretty damn flattering.
Well, I've got one right here for you if you
do?
don't mind listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
No offense, Ron, if you're listening. I do Dave Gunning.
Dave Gunning, do Dave. He'll do Dave Gunning, but you know how Dave is so nice?
Yeah, he's coming on the podcast in January.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be great.
Anyway, so
It's about time there, Christina.
Oh my God, Dave! It's so good. I'm surprised that
he's
you're
early.
here.
He showed up early.
Yeah.
Might gain some followers, I think.
Hey, I hear. Oh my goodness, this is freaking me out. If I close my eyes, so I hear you've done a book and Megan illustrated it, Dave.
Oh yeah, I was on her all the time. She had to get it. I was like, Megan, get those paintings done now. This is something he would never say in a million years.
He's like an alter ego Dave. He's like aggressive, angry Dave.
That's right. That's
aggressive, demanding, conceited Dave.
Yeah, he was saying in the episode that we launched in December that he likes to do Trump, but say complete opposite things that people wish Trump would say.
Okay,
but he never would. So
that's how that got going.
Well, that's what his strength is. That's his gimmick with his
impression was unbelievable.
Yeah, and Megan sent me a message on Instagram one day, and then I guess Mingo did you, but I thought it was you. I thought she was with you. And the reason why is because I had just read that you had done this beautiful book that I have in my hands, To Be With You. And so this is a book that it has the lyrics to your song, and Megan did all the artwork.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, it's totally plausible that Megan is hanging out with Dave Gunning. And then when they did the podcast, they're like, that was just Jason, not you. And I was like, I feel like I was just fooled by AI. I'm concerned, but I don't even. Yeah. So hey, segue to this book. What is this something that's been on your mind for a long time, or did somebody suggest to you, hey, you ever thought about doing a book?
Megan, I did a book quite a few years ago, probably back in 2013 or 2012, with my song "These Hands."
Yes, so that's another
Megan
great song.
illustrated that one, so it was I had already had some experience doing a children's book, and that original book for These Hands, that was actually Sarah's idea. She's a school teacher.
Yeah.
She sees through the lens of being a childhood educator. So yeah, I have that other song, To Be With You, that I kind of joked that I wrote with my dog one time when I was drinking beer. And so it's a song that's been kicking around, and I think I sent the lyrics to Megan and just asked her opinion about it, and she thought, oh my gosh, yeah, and she came up with so many great ideas for it. Yeah, she's an artist. She's unbelievable.
Yeah, she is.
In every way. And so is Jason. He's an incredible musician and producer, and so it was I was really happy to get to work with her again on this book, and with Nimbus Publishing too. I've never worked with a publisher before. That was a different experience. That world moves pretty slow, but it's worth it. They've got checks and balances, and their quality control is pretty high, and
yeah,
they're a great company. They've worked with lots of authors over the years, and especially children's books. They've yeah. So
the book is beautiful, and and I love the song. I've heard you play it live. It's gets in your bones, and I love, it is really lovely to be in the audience, and it's instantly you can sing along, and I know you always help people along, but I like that your songs this song in particular, it's just easy for everyone to feel connected and sing along, and then people are smiling when you play the song. And what I love about the illustrations is like it's just there's a softness to it. Like it's a really I feel like it's very sensory friendly. So it makes you feel like calm. Or it makes me feel calm when I look.
Her artwork is absolutely beautiful in that book, and the way it starts out, at the beginning of the book, it's nighttime, and then it's early morning light, and then it's daylight, and then it becomes evening again, like through the course of the book.
Yeah,
flipping through. So, and
I got mine on Amazon. Is that where you want people to buy it from, or do you want them to go?
Yeah, that's, I guess, Amazon, or you can buy directly from Nimbus maybe too. I'm not sure, but yeah, I can dig up a link for that.
I've got it's all on your website. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Save yourself a trip.
There's probably a link on the site that would direct you to the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of working with your friends, you have a really interesting history of touring with friends. I know you toured solo. Do you like touring solo? I do not.
Well, I like some things about it. There's a certain sort of freedom with it, I suppose. It can be a bit lonely. I think that's why I enjoy the co-writing aspect, because I've toured solo for so long and so many years.
Yeah.
So I think I enjoy collaborating with other friends and artists with writing, and I enjoy touring with others. Just the way it's been. As a singer-songwriter, storyteller, you do end up traveling alone a lot of the time. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But, I guess I don't mind it, but it's nice to have a blend. I find it does get lonely, and then I enjoy getting out on the road with other people.
Yeah. So if I throw some names at you, can you come up with a fun road story?
Maybe.
Okay. J.P. Cormier.
Oh gosh. Unbelievable. There's so many with that guy. Yeah. I mean, he and I have been close friends and collaborators since 1994 or something like that. Like, the first time I met him, I hired him to play fiddle for my band, for a pub band in Halifax. We were playing, it was actually Fleur Mainville was our fiddle player, and McKeel was forming. So she canceled the night before. The guys were rehearsing, and I don't know, for some reason she canceled the night before the gigs 3 times in a row, like over a period of about a month, because they were trying to get this new band rehearsed and things, and they had asked me to join the band in the beginning, but I kind of stayed on my own. So I think Dave McIsaac filled in for us one time, and then Sheila Cameron from Pictou County, lives in Scotland now, teaches fiddle there, I believe. She filled in the second time. Then the third time, it's like, I don't know any other fiddlers. I'd gone through, called every one of them. I called John Muir in Pictou, and he said, there's a fellow that just moved back from Alabama named J.P. Cormier. I think he plays a little bit of fiddle and maybe some other instruments. No one knew it. I didn't know anything about him. So I called him. He had just gotten home. He was in Shetty Camp. He said he was just eating craft dinner.
Love it. I just bought some.
He called, and I called him, and I said, would you play fiddle for us? He says, is it a paying gig? I think actually I didn't want to put pressure on him. I said, do you know anybody that might do this? And he says, is it a paying gig? I said, yeah. Paid a couple $100 a night or something. He said, I'll do it. And he showed up, and of course we had another line for a guitar and a vocal mic and stuff. He sang all the third part harmonies.
Oh my God.
We hit it off. He had a little cassette recorder, and he recorded the show. And I just remember him saying, like, I really like your voice. It's unique. You don't sound like other people. And I like your songs. And if you record someday, I'll play fiddle on the record for you. And
amazing.
Then, so he did do that. And then I saw him showcase in Charlottetown and was blown away by his songs. And And I said, man, this is unreal. He says, you and I are going to tour together, because he was releasing his record Another Morning. So I went out and I toured with him for the release of that record, sort of as a special guest where I was singing a bit.
Yeah.
And then his cousin was playing bass, and 2 weeks before his first ever cross Canada tour, his cousin quit the band, so he hired me to play bass guitar for that first cross Canada tour in 1997. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Sorry, but how did the craft dinner is still on my mind? How did you know he was making craft dinner? Is that just
that's
like
what he just said? He said, I've been living on craft dinner. And I went down to his house and to learn the songs for, on the bass, practicing or whatever. And there was a pot of something boiling in the pot. I looked in, it was a rabbit. And it's the last time that rabbit walked through my yard.
Oh my God. Well, actually, I really like growing up, my parents often had wild rabbit, like wild rabbit pies and stews and stuff. So that's that I can. I wonder if he ever had combine the craft dinner and the wild rabbit.
I'm sure
that might be good. I just bought some craft dinner actually.
Yeah,
it's funny the things you don't need to buy. I'm not that hard up that I need to buy craft dinner, but like I still get a craving for it.
We upgraded to the Annie's in the organic section. I don't know. It was on sale for $2 a box or something at Sobeys, and we bought a bunch of that. It's like a healthier alternative. It's pretty good.
Look, I would take your Yucca app and scan the barcode, because I believe that original craft dinner might be safer to eat than Annie's. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I've got this app called Yucca. I'm obsessed with it. I scan everything, cosmetics and food, and it breaks it down. It tells you exactly what additives are in it and why they're harmful or not. And it scores each item. And so you want to try to get cosmetics or like shampoos and foods that obviously are in the 70 to 100 range. But there is so much crap out there. Yeah. And but anyway,
yeah,
I don't want to get in trouble or be taken to, for slander, Annie. But yeah, check it out.
Wow.
Yucca app. It's free. Yep. It's free, and I make a donation every year, like $11, so that I can search for products that don't scan for. Yeah. But most items have a barcode, so yeah.
Check that out.
Yucca. I'll send it to you later. YUK or Yucca. I don't know, but anyway. JP, love him. I got to get him on the podcast, and I got to do a co-write with him. I want to desperately. He's just such a gem, and how cool is that? You guys do a yearly, it seems like yearly holiday season tour.
We do that as we started doing that about 9 years ago. I was sort of doing Christmas shows around here. I would do a few leading up to the holidays, but the reason we teamed up together, we love to hang out together, number one, but also we realized that if we booked a Christmas tour every year of Atlantic Canada, then that would mean that our booking agent wouldn't send us somewhere far away.
Oh yeah, good point.
So it guarantees that we'll always be home for Christmas.
I think that's wise. That's really. I bet your family loves that.
We love doing it too. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. What about? I know you've toured with Stompin Connors, and I would love for you, because I know a lot of my audience will already know you and possibly know this story, but I have some listeners overseas and scattered about the U.S., and I would love for you to share the story of Tom interviewing you for the gig to be in his band.
Yeah. So JP toured with Tom, I think, in 1991. With Tom Gallant. I think Tom Gallant was the opening act. So I think Tom's regular band was taking a break or something, and at that point, Tom was touring every year, and Tom wasn't well known outside of Canada, obviously not in the States or anything like that. But I remember he sold over 4 million records in Canada or something crazy, and. Wow. But yeah, a real character, well known for his kind of traveling around the country, hitchhiking in the younger days. Like he was orphaned in St. John, New Brunswick. I think his mother was living on the streets, and she had to give him up for adoption. He was adopted by a PEI potato farmer, and constantly was running away from the farm looking for his mom.
Oh,
Heartbreaking story.
yeah.
So his whole life, and eventually found her, and I don't know if she was doing that well at the time. But yeah, quite a character. Like he was shaped. He was interestingly shaped by a lot of hard things that happened to him in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But a beautiful guy. Like, he treated us really well. He had certain protocols and things on the road, and I kept the contract here. It's actually on the contract that you had to stay up and drink with him till 5 a.m, I think it was.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, or something like that. Or yeah, it was really late. Anyway, I have the time here.
Like until he decided. Did he ever cut it short?
Well, it was either 4 or 5, but it was on the contract anyway. So you
must hang out with me.
Yeah, it's no fewer than 1 or 2 musicians, must accompany Tom until.
Wow.
Anyway, so for the first 3 nights on the tour, I stayed up till 9:30 in the morning with him, and Brian Edwards, the tour manager, was waiting outside the hotel room and said, "Dave, you can't do this anymore because there's too much money on the line, and we can't afford to be canceling shows. And if you and Tom get into this routine, it's going to turn into hard liquor, and it's going to go in a different direction, and I will lose control of this, and we'll all be out of some work."
Interesting. So it was all on you?
Yeah. So I said, okay, well, he said, listen, all you got to do, it's on the contract. Just say, "Tom, I'm tired. I'm going to bed." Like, just leave the room at that time. So he goes to bed, you go to bed, and we all can this has to be sustainable.
Gotcha. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but when Tom called me, JP had told me that he might have wanted me to play electric guitar or something, like the telly parts, and in his band. And then a few months went by, and I hadn't really thought of it. And then all of a sudden, the phone rang, and it was Stompin' Tom. He actually left a message, and he said, "I'm going to call back in an hour, Ontario time," or something. He told me the time. I'm going to call at 7:30 Ontario time. I waited. He called, and "Hello, this is Stompin' Tom Connors calling, looking for Dave Gunning." And I was like, "Yeah, this is me." And I thought, is it somebody playing a joke? Wasn't really sure, but
yeah, is this AI?
He just went on to say, "Listen, JP says you play the bass guitar pretty good, but I want to know if you drink." And I said, I like to have a few beers, and well, that's good because we're not a bunch of preachers out on the road.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't care about the bass playing. Can you drink?
Yeah, exactly. And he said, "Well, listen, I need to know one more thing, and it's really important. I need to know if you can handle your liquor." And I said, "Yeah, I guess I get drunk like anybody if I have too much or enough, depending on my goal at the time, I suppose. But I'll make sure I'm there till the last note's played. I won't miss a gig."
Yeah.
And, that's what I want to hear, boy. I just want to make sure you weren't one of them fallsy downsies. Just meant, are you going to get drunk and get messy and pass out and not be able to do this?
No.
And I remember the first night on the road with Tom when I got to Ontario. I think it was Brockville, Ontario. He was playing Scrabble with his son Tommy Jr. So he got JP and I in on the game. And at one point, Tommy Jr. and JP were outside having a chat about something, and it was just me and Tom in the hotel room, just by ourselves. I'm sitting across the table from him, and like I had never played upright bass in my life. I bought the upright bass 2 months before the tour, and learned to play it. Like, so I tried to call Tom back and get out of the gig because I don't play upright bass, and JP says, "Don't you dare call him. Go buy the bass and learn it.
Figure it out.
I wouldn't have stuck my neck out for you if I didn't know you could do it. So shut up, buy the bass. I don't want to hear from you until you do it."
Amazing.
So I went to Halifax, bought the bass. On my way back, stopped into the Irving Big Stop and bought like 6 Stompin' Tom CDs that had just been released with the Michael Rycraft did all the beautiful artwork with the leaf on it and stuff. And I had these CDs, and the cashier looks at me and says, "You're a big Stompin' Tom fan." I said, "If I told you, you wouldn't believe me." So I bought, the gas, the CDs, went home.
Yeah.
Straight to the Pictou liquor store after that. bought a case of beer, started practicing. It was kind of like I sort of felt like it was like training for the Olympics or something. Because
Like you're not only practicing upright bass and you're teaching yourself a new instrument, but you're also training in terms of drinking alcohol. Is that
I was drinking the beers and learning the tunes at the same time, because I figured that's the world I'm going to be in.
that's the gig?
They say when you're in university, if they say if you study when you're under the influence of alcohol, that certain things will come back to you again under the influence of that same substance. I don't know if that's true.
Never tried it.
That.
Never
But
tried.
I did test it on the Tom tour, and it certainly worked.
Good. Okay.
But
Good.
so Tom and I are sitting across the table, like the first night I met him, and he's smoking his cigarettes and just looking at me like he's staring into your soul. Extremely smart guy. He studied every single form of religion he could get his hands on, and he saw the world in numbers. But he was staring at me, and I was getting nervous. I said, "Gee, Tom, I'm pretty thrilled that you asked me to do this tour, and geez, I know you're a hero of mine, and I don't know if JP told you, but I've only been playing the upright bass for a couple of months, so I'm wondering, like, before the show tomorrow night, are we gonna get a chance to rehearse or anything?" And he went, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I thought he was gonna fire me and send me home. He says, "You don't need to worry about making mistakes on my show, because I'll be making more than you."
Nice. I thought he was gonna fucking hit you.
No, he just said, "There's no pressure. Don't worry about it."
Oh my God, that is not what I expected.
Basically, grab another beer and why don't you relax?
Nice. That's well, at that point, right? At that point, I mean, it's probably in his best interest to make you just relax as a leader.
I don't think that was on his mind. I think he was just wanting to. He knew that I could do it. JP told him I was a real good bass player, so he wasn't worried about that side of it.
I seriously thought he was going to hit you. I thought this story was going somewhere really dark.
No, but it could have. It could have, and it went times through the tour with some of the characters on the road.
I bet
He and JP had an altercation on the second night, I think. I thought we were fired and sent home, but it worked out okay.
Maybe I'll ask him about that when he comes on my podcast.
He may or may not remember it all. I find if the JP has a way of some of the I think because of self-protection over the years, he has a gift for forgetting some bad things.
Yeah, well, I mean, memory is
protect his own well-being, because the poor guy had a hard upbringing at times himself, right?
Memory is reconstructive.
It all worked out good in the end, and we had a great time, and that was a great experience. And Tom and I kept in touch over the years, and I went to visit him at his house, and he had a beautiful spot, like a nice bar inside his house, and a workshop with all his tools and things, and quite a guy. And his office was just one typewriter on the desk.
Love it.
Pretty neat, but
incredible. I'm so glad you shared that, because it's just fascinating. Like I think it's incredible. I mean, he's just such an iconic human, and that you have these stories, and that it was such a part of molding you too into the musician that you became and that you are now. And what a gem to have these rock and roll stories, really, He's
I'll tell you one more. He had this letter. He was one of 50 Canadians invited to meet the Queen. So when I was visiting him at his house, he showed me this letter that was on his desk. And I said, "Are you going to meet the Queen?" He says, "Well, let me tell you the story here. Here's my response to Rideau Hall." And his response was, "Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm flattered that you would invite me to go, but I wear a hat, and I know in the presence of the Queen, I'd be required to remove my hat, and I'm not comfortable doing that, so I respectfully decline the invitation. Sincerely, Stompin' Tom Connors." And I said, "You're not going?" He goes, "Well, I'm not done telling the story yet, and he showed me, here's their response to me. So he got another response from Rideau Hall saying, "We've consulted with Buckingham Palace, and the Queen would like to meet Canadians as they are, and Stompin' Tom wears a hat, so please leave the hat on." And just so you know how we're getting around protocol, your hat will be considered a religious headdress for the evening's events. And that was in the letter. He was so proud of that. And
Amazing.
when I flew home to Nova Scotia, I knew that I watched CBC News World, the recap, Peter Mansbridge, and it had, events that had happened that weekend. And of course, they were covering the Rito Hall thing, and it's all these Canadians, famous Canadians meeting the Queen. And there's Tom, obviously easy to spot because he had the big black hat on and going through the lineup and nodding. And so I thought, oh, that's amazing. So Tom only ate ham sandwiches with white bread and just mustard. Like that's about all he'd eat. We took him for a pork chop dinner at one point, or liver and onions or something, and he complained about how lethargic he felt the whole night. But so he ate just like he liked his ham sandwiches, white bread, just mustard. So I called him on the Monday after seeing the recap, and I kind of teased him a little bit. I said, wow, what was it like? It looked like he says, well, it was pretty swanky. I said, well, the food must have been amazing, Tom. Not really, no. Looked like seagull shit or some damn thing on the plate. There were all these little piles of stuff. And he said, but
Oh my
Brian
God.
called and arranged to have a ham sandwich made for me, white bread, just mustard.
Oh, wow. That's really something.
Yeah, pretty funny.
Oh my
And he said, I
God.
always knew which tray was coming to our table from the distance because it'd be the only tray with a bottle of Moosehead Green on it.
My God, that's hilarious.
I could tell stories all day about that.
I'm gonna update my rider. Right now there's just like a glass bottled water, which by the way, no one can ever find, and it stresses people out. So now I'm stressed and I'm like, just don't worry about the water. Just give me tap water.
Yeah.
I thought like I would be doing everyone a favor by just putting glass bottle, because I don't want to encourage plastic bottle.
For sure. It's not healthy either.
Don't put glass bottle water, because if you don't want to put people out, that's a good way to put people out. Yeah. Dave, I've got another question for you here. Do you know how to hold them and when to fold them? Like in your career, in your life, have you at times had to really sit yourself down and go, these things are coming at me, but I just have to learn, like, how do you decide for yourself what to keep in your life, what to let in, what to say yes to, and what to say no to? Or do you just say yes to everything?
No, I don't say yes to everything, but
are you comfortable saying no?
Right now, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good place. Like it was a rough. Over the last 20 years, there were some patches of time where it was too much, and the work with the pulp mill that we did here, that took a lot of time. That was basically a full-time job. Started back in 2009. Well, really 2007, but really the heavy lifting started from 2009 until 2019 or something like that.
What was the result of that, Dave? Can you talk about?
Well, the result was we were able to. The mill has shut down, and that wasn't necessarily the goal, but that's where we're at now. But we started a group way back, and my brother said, we don't want to be activists, we want to be factivists, which is going to take a lot longer. And so we ended up assembling a group. I mean, we had, some prominent business leaders on our group, and we also had pulp and paper experts on our group. We had 2 former scientists that had worked with Environment Canada on our group. Like, we had a group of about 14 people.
And this is in Pictou County for listeners.
And one of the guys on our group was so high up in the pulp and paper industry that the vice president of Paper Excellence Canada, that was owned by the Asia Pulp and Paper, but the vice president of their organization in Canada, based out of Vancouver, was a former employee for our guy.
Oh, wow.
Our guy was his old boss.
Huh?
So we would FOIPOP documents from the government, and they're public domain, technically, legally, because they're paid for by taxpayers to do these studies. The mill would do studies and environmental assessments or whatever the case. We would FOIPOP these documents, and the documents would come back redacted with all the juicy stuff blacked out, right? But when we knew what we were looking for, because of the people on our group, because of the high caliber people on our group, we were always able to get the unredacted versions of those reports.
Amazing.
And then when we had the unredacted versions, we would surface that information to the public. So we weren't necessarily saying, this is really bad and you should feel this way. We were surfacing facts and letting people decide for themselves how they felt about it. And that becomes more cemented. It took, that's why it took so many years. It took that many years and to gain the trust of the government too, you know? So we learned a lot about how government works, and my role on the group was I was almost the liaison between the pulp and paper experts and the scientists and the community, or the government. So I would prepare presentations for the community or for the government or for business people, but taking it from the technical documents. So it was a lot of heavy lifting because I'd have to try to paraphrase things, and then after I would reword these scientific documents or rework them so people can understand it, I have to take all of my work back to the experts to make sure it was still factually correct. So it was a lot. It was a lot of work, but I don't regret it. But do I know when to hold them and know when to fold them? Well, Sam, and I got sucked into that, and once I knew how bad it was, I couldn't ignore it or turn my back on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it involved our only First Nation community here, Pictou Landing First Nation. They were getting disproportionately dumped on. Like, all the effluent was getting dumped into their backyard, basically. And there were other non-Native people that lived right next to it, too. It wasn't just affecting them, but disproportionately it was affecting them. So there was an element of environmental racism, and they were poisoning the community. And it was heavily government subsidized, and there was just so many things wrong about it. But I get pulled into that. I'm very cautious now when people reach out to me, whether it's a gold mine or whatever it is, or something that's happening that people are concerned about. I'm reluctant to kind of I don't just jump in and get involved because I would need to know the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I if I'm getting involved with something like that, I want to be able to be backed into the corner by an engineer from that company and be able to talk and argue my way out of the corner.
Yeah,
and it takes a lot of time to educate yourself to that level where you can do that.
Yeah.
And I know more about Bleachcraft pulp mills than I do about folk music.
Amazing! I can't wait for that book on that topic.
Yeah, well, there's
next.
songs written about it, and I was also worried that now I'm not going to be able to write. I'm going to have writer's block because I'm so passionate about this issue. Shit, my songwriting's going to suffer now. And then all of a sudden, songs started to come. I think I don't know how you feel or how you think of this, but my way of understanding it is that a passion fuels creativity. Mm-hmm. So if you can become really passionate about something, whether it's love, anger, or fear, or whatever it is, if that extreme passion can fuel creativity. And so that's how it ended up happening. And of course, songs including These Hands, that I never would have written that song without that being in the middle of that fight.
Yeah.
So it all worked out. But I think now, family time had suffered, and so I think I place more of a priority these days on family, and just because I let that slip. Looking back on that whole experience, and I remember you were very supportive. I appreciated that. When that, I remember you reaching out a few times when that was happening, the mill fight.
Really? 'Cause I don't remember.
Yeah, you did. You offered to help. Is there anything I can do?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad I wasn't. Do not remember.
You're a good friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm typing in the chat for Dave to just say these things about me.
But yeah, and I think I don't regret it. Like looking back, it was there was some sacrifices with it, but the other thing about that, being passionate, or when you meet other people that are also very passionate about the same thing, then the bonds that you form with those people feels more they feel stronger. Like the friendship, like of course we did make some enemies locally. There's no doubt of that, but we made friends locally, and the friendships that formed locally were formed by that shared passion. And so we still have some very close friends here, because of that fight,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong. It feels good to be back, and just focusing on music and family, of course.
Yeah. And I mean, the message too, I think is a message to share is that, and I recognize this for myself, is that if you don't take care of yourself, then you won't have the energy to help other people when the time comes. I've got some, before I let you go, which I don't ever want to do, but I will drop you, Dave Gunning.
I understand.
Quickfire fun questions. I like to ask my guests, what is a fun fact about you that like your fans don't really know about you? Or maybe I probably don't know about you. Is there anything like weird or wacky about Dave Gunning that you are happy to share with my little heartbeat listeners?
Sure. If there's I'm not sure if there's anything I've been hiding. Yeah. Like I'm wondering if I'm trying to think, is there's some little fun thing that I don't talk about, but I talk so much, and I can't hide much. I would say that I love tractors, but I've probably talked about tractors at my show.
Yeah, well, and that could be something that we assume of you. I sucked my fingers until I was 11. I sucked these two fingers and had indents in them. I might still have some indents. I sucked my fingers until I was 11 years old, and I had to burn my baby blanket. I had to burn it, and I kept the ashes in an ice cream container. I was that attached.
Did it have satin around the outside, or?
No, it was just it was soft. It certainly was soft.
I had one.
Oh, yeah?
Satin around the outside that I used to.
Oh. Did you suck your fingers?
My thumb, I think.
And you smell it at the same time? Do you remember that?
Smell my thumb at the same time?
No, you smell the blanket and you suck your thumb. Did you do that?
No, I don't think I smelled the blanket.
You're getting really... That's what now this is becoming about me. I'm just trying to lure out a weird fact about your... okay, so I've just embarrassed myself.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I sort of keep quiet. I'm not sure if there is.
Do you have any weird tics?
Oh, yeah. I scratch my eyebrows like this.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Like the feeling of the hair under my fingernails.
Interesting.
I don't know why that is.
Just your eyebrows. You're not doing your...
start doing that now.
Yeah. Well, I don't have very much hair there, but yeah. Okay. No, I'm not going to start doing this. This isn't pleasant for me.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
What's gone wrong on tour that was definitely not in the plans that you just did not expect? I'm trying to think. Actually, something happened the other day that wasn't on tour, but I went to sell something, a monitor screen on Facebook Marketplace, met up with this person, and they're waving at me, and I'm like, all right, this is the person. And they come over to the car, and I've got my friend's 3 boys in the car, and roll down the window. The guy hands us 8 dead mice. He's 8 dead mice in a plastic baggie. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm supposed to get money from this person and then give them the monitor. And this guy's just handing, and the kids are like, is that guy trying to sell you drugs? And I was the wrong person. He was there selling mice to people who had reptiles. And,
yeah, right.
And I parked next to him, and he's like, oh, hey. And he thought I was this Janet person. So he comes over and he's just handing me these dead mice. I'm like, dude, I am not Janet. I do not. But it took me, I was so thrown off. Anyway, that's not a tour story.
Well, the only thing that I think that's gone wrong in the last couple of years would be JP getting some kind of deal on rooms that aren't so good. Yeah, it was. I think we stayed at one when it was like, all these bikers showing up at all hours selling drugs and like a used rubber in the garbage can. And
Okay, this is where you do not
wicked deal on a room.
This is not. You do not try to get any deals. You don't take any cuts on the rooms.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I gotta have a chat with him.
Yeah, get a killer deal on these rooms.
Yeah, because they're fucking covered in semen and who knows what else.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
I slept with all my clothes on and my socks over my jeans.
Where was this? I mean, you don't have to name the place.
It was in Sarnia.
Is that a place where there's not other options nearby? Because I would have gone.
There are all kinds of great places there.
I would have gone on the booking.com and booked another. I've done that before. We've stayed at places where there were bed bugs.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, like our friend woke us up and was like, our room is infested. Let's check yours. And then we were like, let's get out of here. It's 2 a.m. I book us another hotel. We get there at like 3:30 a.m. But like, it's, I
had to sleep with the lights on because when I shut the lights off, all the silverfish and
oh God, that's disgusting. Okay, I'll have a chat with JP.
I'll turn the light on and you'd see all these things scurrying everywhere.
Do you want me to book your hotels for your next tour with JP?
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Book planning for a tour. Okay, well, worst piece of advice that you've been given about music or the music business? The worst piece of advice?
This is interesting, yeah, because I remember starting out, like back before 2002, say.
Yeah.
So I was playing pubs from 1993 and onwards, but around 2000. I was applying to do the songwriters showcase at the ECMA every year, and of course I wasn't getting invited to do it. And I didn't think there was anything necessarily wrong with the songs. I'd written a song called "Time Slips Away" and "Here She Comes a Running," and songs that I thought were good songs. But they said the advice I was being given by the music industry here at the time, which wasn't necessarily bad advice, but looking back, it was probably bad advice.
Mm-hmm.
But I may have given the same advice to somebody if I was in their shoes, but they said, like, your songs are too regional. You'll never make it outside of Atlantic Canada because your songs are too East Coast sounding. Like, nobody cares about Twitter the Clown in Europe or whatever, right? So, or the Prince of Picto or all these characters you're writing about, that's too regional. Your songs are too regional, so you'll never have a sustainable career outside this region because you're only singing about this region. Now, what's interesting is that I finally did get invited to do the Songwriters Circle, and in 2002, and I sang "Here She Comes a Running," and I sang "Prince of Picto." And I got booked to play the Strawberry Folk Festival in California and the Kerrville Folk Festival in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a bit surprised, and I said to Dallas Allen and Charlie Cran, the program directors, I said, why? Like, my songs are pretty regional. Like, how is this going to work when I get to California or get to Texas with your audience? And they said, oh, we got lots of characters in our hometowns, too.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, I know in Europe, they love the idea of anything you can present to them that helps them visualize a place in Canada that they might visit. Like, people dream of coming and living here and want to hear the stories from here. And I think it's a huge benefit, but it's so awesome that you just, I
mean, all I could really do is just write what I know and keep doing what I was doing. And the more honest I've been in life, the better shit seems to go. And so looking back now, I think that was bad advice from the music industry people back at that time. But how would they have known? I mean, it was, in a way, it's kind of good advice. They were saying, write stuff that sounds like it's more universal, that it could, okay, well, that's a different type of thing. That's like if you're going to be mainstream, universal type artist. But I'm a folk singer.
Mm-hmm.
My audiences are nosy. They want to know the details about
They want specifics.
these characters, and they want to hear the stories, and that's what I do. And so it was bad advice for what I would eventually become, but they wouldn't have known that at the time. So
also I think, I think from that folk artists that there's more money in folk music, to be honest. I think it's it is, it's not that it's not hard, to just they're not hard times, and everyone has to find their own way. But I do think if you want to break into like a mainstream whatever, or do pop or mainstream rock, I think it's harder than, just singing from your heart and sharing your stories and learning how to be more yourself in front of people.
I guess that world that you're talking about is like buying lottery tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like going for the gold ring, jumping and trying to grab the gold ring as you're falling down. And the folk thing is small but sustainable.
Yeah. But it can also be big. Like there's a big audience around the world that loves folk music and Americana, which is kind of a mesh of a lot of genres, right? But with the heart of it is the storytelling, and you do it so well, Dave.
Well, I and her audience, or your audience, because I'm talking to you.
Let's talk about her.
But Christina Martin.
He's pointing at me.
Pointing at Christina, but I love your voice so much. And
thanks, Dave.
Nobody sounds like you. You have an instantly identifiable sound.
Thank you.
You can kind of like, I like your voice in the same way I love Emmylou Harris. Like it's just a classic sound, and I'll always be grateful for you singing on my John Allen Cameron tribute record.
That was fun.
It was such a cool thing. John Allen was such a folk, icon, such an important figure for me and for so many others. And having you come into that world, the color of your voice, that tone of your voice on that record is so beautiful.
Thanks, buddy. Well, thank you for providing that opportunity. And I'll sing on anything you want. I will scream sing, I'll whisper sing. But I look forward to, you helped me out. We did a co-write recently, and I look forward to doing more of that in our lifetime. And
absolutely,
that's kind of the phase I'm in now, is where I actually want, where there were so many years where it was just like, I don't know, just blinders on, and you're just trying to make it work, and you're on the road and you have no time. But as you tour, and you're at music conferences, you meet these wonderful people, you make friends, as we've been friends for so long now. But I didn't allow time to co-write with people. I wasn't even interested in it. I didn't think I could do it. And now I'm loving it. But I want more collaborations. It is so fun. And to be able to do that with such talents, like it's just my dream to just do more of that.
I hope we get to write some more songs. You and I are over that awkward first date stuff. I mean, we drank Tullamore Dew in the back of a van in Ireland.
Remember that?
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a fun tour.
That was really great having you there. And what a great bunch. I remember it was you, Dave Carroll, and Terry Penny. And I honestly, it was so good for me to have y'all were such gentlemen. And it was just like hanging out with my friends, like my good friends. And we had, I think with each one of you, we were able to have like serious talks, not serious talks. And it really was just hanging out with like cool best friends.
Oh yeah, that was a great trip.
My Little Heartbeat listeners are going to check out your tour dates, because you do have some around Atlantic Canada before you head off to Ireland. People will go check out your website also to order the book To Be With You, Words by Dave, art by Megan Smith, davegunning.com. And you can pre-order your new album Field Notes. It's out February 20th from your website as well. And in the meantime, check out the new single Going Nowhere Tonight. And is there anything else you want to plug, Dave, before I kick you off here?
I think there's a second single coming out this week, or maybe on the 9th, I think.
Great. Okay, so I can share that when this comes out?
I believe it's called Blue Heart.
Heart, love it.
Yeah. I love your hearts on your sweater, by the way.
Well, it is a Chat with Heart podcast. And thanks, buddy. Yeah, you got to stick with the theme of love. It is really the most important thing. And everything I do in life, I try to come at it, even if it's a tough conversation, especially come at it with love. It makes it a little bit easier, you know?
Absolutely.
But I love this chat. I love you. And I look forward to collaborating more because we're gonna live for like at least another 50 years, I think.
Yeah. Well, send me that app. So.
Oh yeah, the Yucca app. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Love to you and Dale, and great to see you.
You too. Say hi to Sarah and the boys and the dogs and the chickens. Still, Jed?
The chickens we don't have chickens anymore. During the pandemic, it was good when I was home, but busy again.
Yeah.
And one of the dogs, when he was a puppy, he was playing aggressively with one of the hens. So we had to give the chickens back to the neighbor that we got them from in the beginning.
Your dog ate the hen, didn't he?
No.
Okay. We're going to end this podcast episode with a death.
Shook the hen, and the hen did die.
Oh, okay. He did.
But I think its little neck got broke. In hindsight, maybe it's not a great idea for us to give squeaky toys to dogs and say, good dog, because they're shaking, because it was like a real live squeaky toy. True. And he's looking at me like, Dad, why is it not anymore?
You've encouraged this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, remind me never to bring my cats over. So.
No, they won't hurt the cats.
Are you sure?
We have cats.
Okay.
These are poodles. They respect cats.
Okay, I'm bringing the cats.
But the chickens, they're so fun. They're like a real life squeaky toy.
Yeah.
They make funny sounds. They flap and
Well, Dave, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Until they don't. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Okay, bud. It's love. I don't want to say goodbye to you. Oh, I don't want to say goodbye to you. Welcome to the Heartbeat Hotline, 1-902-669-4769. I'm the host of A Chat with Heart podcast, Christina Martin, and I'm so excited you called. Leave me your question, a suggestion for the podcast, or a comment about this episode. Please be aware your message may be used on the podcast and social media. Tell me your name, where you're calling from, and it's also fine if you want to remain anonymous. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking day. Hey, thanks for listening to A Chat with Heart, produced by me, Christina Martin. Co-produced and engineered by my partner in life and sound, Dale Murray. Dale's not just a wizard with knobs, he's also a killer singer-songwriter, session musician, and music producer. Go snoop around his world at dalemurray.ca. The podcast theme song, Talk About It, and I Don't Want to Say Goodbye to You were written by me and recorded by Dale. Want to support what we do? You can snag CDs, vinyl, digital music, and some weirdly delightful merch like custom puzzles and temporary tattoo packs over on my Bandcamp. If you're into keeping indie art alive or just want good karma, become a monthly or yearly member on my Patreon. It's a platform that helps creators get paid to keep making stuff we love. I swear by it. Sign up, free or paid, at patreon.com/Christina Martin. If this podcast made you laugh, cry, think, or rage text your best friend, do me a solid, share it, rate it, review it, and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And to all my little heartbeat listeners, stay weird, stay tender, and I'll catch you next time.